Hello, ayan. It's very nice to have all of you here today because our topic is very special. My name, by the way, is John Baluyot, and I'm one of the co-founders of Positive Workplaces. And I can see that we have a lot of moms on the room right in the room right now, no? So I would just like to greet all of you. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you and to all your moms. Hello, it's very nice to have you here. Siguro just for us to check very quickly if Zoom is working well for us, can you type in the chat box where you are calling from so that we will know in which parts of the Philippines are we affecting today? There are around 190 people who registered, and I can see that in the room. Ayan, no? Miss Milalin, we have people calling from Taytay, Cavite, Novaliches, Quezon City, Laguna, Bulacan, Rizal, Cebu, Bicol, and Sorsogon, Cavite. Ayan, Mandaluyong, General Trias. So many people. Thank you so much for participating in the chat box. We will be using more of it later. Without further ado, let me first try to introduce why we are here in the first place. So the webinar for today, which is part of the whole May series that we have, is empowering the Filipino working mom. So this is in honor of course, the Mother's Day celebration for the month of May. And this is also very targeted to the topic that we will be talking about today, which is empowering the Filipino working mom, championing the Filipino working mom's free webinar series. A few reminders for our audience in the room. Number one, since we will be using meter today, please either have another device ready or you also be prepared to go to another link for Mentimeter. Second is, as you know, all our participants right now will be on mute in order for us to manage the learning session, no? Para wala tayong narinig sa background na, oh, andyan na yung Shopee, paki-pick up na dun sa pintuan. So that's how we will manage the learning. No? We are going to put everyone on mute. But if you have questions, tapos you want to raise your hand or you want to share a comment, please feel free to raise your hand in Zoom and then we will unmute you so that you can also participate. You can also put comments and questions in the chat box, and this is a special request of our facilitator, no? We will have a breakout room today. Okay? So the breakout room today, for the breakout sessions, what we would like to request from you is, if you are not going to participate in the breakout rooms, can you please put an X mark beside your name? Okay? Kasi later on, we will be going to breakout rooms to meet people, to start to chat about some of the topics that we will talk about here. So for example, if your audio is not working well, o kaya if you don't want to participate in the breakout room sessions, please put an X beside your name in Zoom so that we will not, force you to participate in the breakout sessions. Lastly, we will be issuing certificates as usual, pero contrary to our policy before, the certificate post-evaluation will only be open 30 minutes from the time that we release it, later. Because there are some people who are sharing the link to others who have not attended the webinar, and sayang yung learning tsaka yung certificate na gagamit ng hindi naman naka-attend dun sa learning sessions. So we hope you understand that we are limiting the time by which people can answer the post-evaluations so that you can also claim your certificates at the end of the session. All right. So without further ado, again, we are Positive Workplaces. Our mission is to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And my name is John Baluyot. I am going to be one of your hosts for today. We also have Nikki, the co-founder of Positive Workplaces, who is with me today. And she's going to be helping out also with some of the tech part in the webinar session. Now, part of our mission to co-create cultures to enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce is to conduct free webinars every month. And parating naka-series po yan. And the webinars that we have for month of May, for today, we are empowering the Filipino working mom. On May 18, we're going to be talking about well-being as a pathway for successful working moms. And on May 25, we will be talking about work from home moms, a developmental psychology perspective. All right. So today, we are graced by one of my very most important Filipino mentors ever, our very own Miss Milalin Javellana. So Milalin is currently the program director of the Australia Awards and Alumni Engagement Project. Hindi na po lingid sa inyong kahalaman that both Nikki and I, the co-founders of Positive Workplaces, are from the Australia alumni community. So Nikki and I just came home last 2020, and ang pasimuno po nitong lahat ay si Milalin Javellana. ang atin pong fairy mother ng thousands of Australia Awards scholars. So Milalin is also the Career Executive Service Board Director, and she is also the President of ODPN, or Organizational Development Philippine Network. She also was the previous president or the past president of the Philippine Society for Talent Development. Hi, Milalin.
Hi.
Ayan. Ayan. So, for people in the room, can you let us know if you can hear Milalin very well? Mother, can you introduce very quickly so that they can hear your audio?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Ayan. Loud and clear daw, sabi ni Camille and ni Simon. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ayan. Okay. So, sige. Thank you so much for that very quick tech test. And now, without further ado, again, talagang dami kong without further ado, we're now going to go to your presentation. So, Milalin, please feel free to take it.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you to my favorite ba? Sabihin ko parang ano talaga tayo, no? Mutual favorite.
Mutual admiration.
Why do I say favorite alumni? Kasi I gave John an assignment when he was in Australia. I told him, in addition to the project that you will do when you come back, I want you to set up a linkage with an Australian professional group, similar, so that there would be continuity. And of course, he delivered that. No? And last year when he did this Upland Hope, he tied up with the Australian Institute for Training and Development. So yun yung mga ganong mga nire-require ko in addition. So John passed that. Anyway, I just like, can you put in the chat box yung energy level nyo ngayon? 1 to 10. 1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest. What's your energy level? I want to see it. Go, go, go. Wow, 11. I love you. 5, we have, what else? Alam ko, it's very hot now. Summer is here, really. 46 daw. 10, good. 8, 10, 10, 7. Okay, 7, 9, 8. Okay, good. So there's a good energy level that we have. So I hope we will maintain that because I want you to be engaged. One of the things I like to say is, can we have the next slide? I want to greet everybody, even if you're not yet a mom, Happy Mother's Day. Diba? So it's so important that we honor our mother. Kung kayo ang mother, I hope your kids have greeted you, kissed you, hugged you, gave you the love that you need, that especially now on Happy Mother's Day. And if your mother is still alive and is still with you, I hope you have also greeted your mother. Happy Mother's Day. Next slide. Okay. Siguro before I ask this question, can you put in the chat box muna, not this question, how many of you here are working moms? How many of you here? Can you put yes if you are a working mom or no, you're not a working mom? Okay, so I see a lot of yes. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good. Okay, that's good. Great. Big yes. Yeah. Talaga, we are. We are all working moms. So I'd like you to answer in this chat box the question, why do you want to have a career? Diba? Pag graduate mo ba, naisip mo agad na mag-career ka o pang napanganak ka, naisip mo agad magkaroon ka ng career? Why can you answer? Why do you want to have a career? Why did you want to have a career? You are a career person to begin with. Good. I'm able to provide for my family. Yes. Okay. What else? Why do you want to have a career? To help my family needs. Self-fulfillment. Yes, that's important. Initially, just following the footsteps of my parents, of course, that also happens. To be able to live, to have your own identity. Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Self-fulfillment and to be able to provide for the family. I think a lot of us have that. That's also my case. I want to have my own identity. I just don't want to be, especially during my time, hindi naman, wala pa yung family code na pwedeng gamitin mo yung apelido mo. Kundi kailangan mo gamitin yung apelido ng asawa mo. So really create that identity. And also, as you've said, to provide also for my family, to share the burden, the financial burden of caring for the family. Okay. So I have a next slide, please. The next question I want you to answer. What is your concept of a working mom? What's your concept? In your own words, Tagalog man or what? You want to be successful professionally. Okay. What else would be your concept of a working mom? Is it balanced life? Okay, what else? With work life, multitasking, yeah, definitely. Working successfully at the same time, taking care of the family, multitasking, legacy for my kids, yeah, that's nice. Yes, because you become a role model. What else? Anybody else? To be successful in life. Okay. To become productive. Okay, thank you. Share role model, yes. Use your competencies that you've gained. Yes, you want, you've studied that, you've learned that. Okay, to take care of them and to enjoy life. Okay, so in other words, what we're looking for is your concept in general. A lot of you is to have a balanced work and life, right? Can I have the next slide? So is there such a thing as a work-life balance for working mom? You don't have to answer that. I just like to say, really, there's none. There's none. You can't really balance. There's really, you will be sacrificing a bit. It can be your home life or your work, but there's no such thing as talagang balance siya. Okay? That is from my experience. Kaya it's important that I agree with you. Somebody, Hazel, said about prioritization. Okay. So I'd like to share with you my life in terms of how I was able to work out, not balancing it, but like sabi ni Hazel, prioritizing depending on the situation of my own family life. Okay. So I'd like to show this picture of my kids. When they were growing up, ito yun, diba, typical. So I have 3 boys. Then yung ikatatlo ko sumunod after 8 years. So kala ko tapos na. May ganun pala, no? Hindi talaga natatapos. Kasi gusto pa natin magkaroon ng anak and all that. So one of the things that affected me while my kids are growing up was when they said, when one of my son, I think when he was in grade school, he said to me, alam mo naman, no, yung one time nag-visit yung mother-in-law ko, may mother-in-law sa Bacolod. Then, sir, tinanong yata niya yung anak ko, so, Chris, how is your school? What do you think of your teacher? Diba? Ganun tanong, typical mother-in-law. Ganun. Ang sagot ba naman ng anak ko? Harap ko sinagot ba naman yung, ay Lola, I love my teacher. She's very good. And then I think my mom-in-law asked, So why do you say that? I think I love her more than my mom. Wow, my God. You know, when you hear that from your 7-year-old, parang ako naiyak ako eh. Siyempre, hindi ako umiyak sa harapan nila, no? Pero naiyak ako na, my God, parang, ano ba? I'm sacrificing my family kasi I want to have a career, di ba? Parang ganon. So, what did I do? I said, I prayed a lot and I talked to my husband. So there was during that incident, that triggered me to quit my job. So I did not work for a year. Kasi sabi ko, my 2 kids were growing up and I want to be there, making sure that, they are well cared of para hindi lang nila maisip na mas gusto nila yung teacher kasi sa akin. So, naging competitive ako, di ba? Dahil, parang mas gusto ko ba yung career o yung aking, ang aking household, ang aking bahay and all that. So, that, I sacrificed a year. But what did I do in that year? I made sure that I established my relationship with my kids. Yung talagang parang alam nila na kahit wala ako sa bahay, pwede nila akong takbuhan. Di ba? Pwede nila akong takbuhan. Parang ganun. Parang I don't have to be there all the time, but my presence is known. So I try to make it that, just to have an ear to listen to their problem and all that. So anyway, next slide. So after all of that, after a year, I work again. So one of my happy moments was nag-graduate na sila, di ba? Parang, ay salamat, nag-graduate na yung mga anak ko. Para bang nakahinga na ako. Kala ko lang pala gano'n, nakahinga. Pero eventually, hindi pa pala ikaw makahinga kasi kahit nag-graduate sila, kailangan na doon ka pa rin. So, but it was also the time that I said, I want also to study. So I also took up my master's. Kaya din sa picture, I also finished my master's while also my kids were studying. But what did I do? How did I try to, do that balancing act? First, I try to make sure that my kids have a study habit. Meaning when they come from, basta ako kailangan, pagdating nila from school, nandiyan na yung bus, nasa bahay na rin ako. Di ba? Parang kailangan na doon. Or kung hindi man ako makarating agad kasi ma-traffic, basta pag-start nilang mag-aral, kasi ang mag-aaral sila ay before dinner mag-aaral sila. So, create ko yung study habit. Parang kahit wala kami, nandun na yung meron silang salit-sariling table, para hindi lang sa kwarto sila nag-aaral, talagang doon sa sala, talagang meron silang study, parang alam nila yon. And then the other one that I tried to do was, I did not, kasi ayokong makita ng mga anak ko na nandito na nga ako sa bahay, pero nagtatrabaho pa rin ako. Para bang lumipat lang ako ng office site, dala ko pa rin yung laptop. So what I did was, even if I have to work, I made sure that my kids were already sleeping when I opened my laptop. In other words, during the time that they're awake, eating dinner and all that, studying sila, study habits and all that, they did not see me working. Kasi nga, although to be honest, I'm still working pag tulog na sila. Diba? Kasi nga, di naman natatapos yung trabaho and all that. Pero I tried to make sure na hindi lang naisip na, ano ba to si nanay? Umuwi lang pero trabaho pa rin. Diba? So talagang very conscious ako doon. And at the same time, on weekends, I don't open my laptop. I don't work. I don't work on weekends. So, I watch the movies and we all go out together. Ang aming happening is pag weekends, pag Sunday is, Saturday is just stay at home. Sunday, we go to the grocery together. I let my kids learn how to, go to the grocery. And then when we're in the grocery, they're only allowed to buy one item. So, hindi na pwedeng magpili ng cheapie. So, medyo the discipline nilagay ko doon. And even on their birthdays, I only give them, for example, kasi lumaki na sila. For example, I give them a certain amount and they can buy what they want. No? So, bahala sila. Basta ito yung amount lang. So, kung bongga-bongga ka, hindi pwede. Kasi ito lang yung amount mo. Even when we travel. So, in other words, there is also a certain tough love. Sabi ng nanay ko, naku Milalin, bakit, anak ko iha, ganyan yung nanay ko, napakahigpit mo naman. Sabi ko, no ma, hindi yan higpit, it's a discipline. For example, mealtime, everybody must eat together. Hindi pwede yung nanonood ka ng TV, di ba? Kailangan sabay-sabay ka kumakain. Kasi nga, grasya yan, sinasabi ko. And at the same time, pag Sunday is our family day, hindi pwede kasama ang mga girlfriends. Kasi family yan. Kung gusto mag-date, mag-date ka pag Saturday. Pero pag Sunday, it's a family. Meaning, we eat lunch together and we watch movie together. So habit na yan talagang since when we were small and until naglaki. Until, ito, next picture, talagang malalaki na yung anak ko. So here are my 3 kids. They're kind of big. So if I look at this, you look at my other son, my eldest, yung wala ng buhok, so pinagupit niya. You know, one of the things I treasured was when he's now in America and I visited him a few years ago. Then when he was driving me back to the airport, he said to me, Ma, I just like to say thank you. Kala ko nag-thank you siya dahil binigyan ko ng pera. Ayun pala, sabi ko, talaga, bakit? Sabi niya, I like to thank you kasi sabi niya, I meet a lot of Asians, Filipinos, and you know, they all come, a lot of them have problems with their parents, with their family. And I look back at the way you treated us, the way they grew up. And sabi niya parang, he is so blessed. And then he thanked me. And bako, ikaw yung nanay? Di ba maiyak ka? So naiyak ako dahil, wow, sanabihan ako ng anak ko na, hindi pala yung mga sacrifices na ginawa ko, yung balancing and all that. Parang, na-appreciate pala niya, di ba? Parang, wow, for me, that's a very, something that I am blessed for my son to be able to say that and to share that with me. And I think that's one of the things I have taught my kids, that I'm always around. So whenever they have problems with their girlfriends, mag-break sila na kalang girlfriend, ako yung unang lang kinakausap. Diba? Nakakatuwa na parang ako yung, basta nakikinig lang ako. Basta alam nila nandito ako if they have problems. So that's one. At parang feeling ko, na yung mga ginagawa ko pala, hindi na-appreciate pala yun. Yung tough love, yung discipline, yung making sure that, you know, there is a structure in our household. And I like to say that one of the things that helped me a lot is, I like to share this with you. Next slide, please. I have a trained and loyal kasambahay. Okay. They have been with me for a long time. They have been with me when my kids are, you know, quite old. And I always tell my kids, our kasambahay, they are already family members. Do not shout at them. Do not, you know, they are family. So you have to respect them as the way you respect me, etc. But I have trained them. Kasi I'm not a domesticated person. So they know where my things are. If I tell them, we're going to the beach, na nung isa kong kasambahay kung ano yung ilalabas, kung ano yung dadalhin namin. Diba? If I tell them, we're going to this place, kaya I tell them, oh, we have visitors who will sleep here, mga Japanese, alam na nila, mga chopstick, ilalabas, etc. So I have trained them. And I think that's one thing that I think we should do as a working mom. Kasi nga, they are our allies. Diba? I don't think I can work the way I work if I don't have allies in my house. And also, the other thing I do is I take care of their family. You know, I mean, if I can, you know, help. So, yung mga yaya ng anak ko, pag 7 years old, ayoko nang may yaya kasi kailangan matuto yung mga bata, di ba? So, ang ginagawa ko dahil kawawan man, wala silang trabaho. So, I look for work for my yayas. So, nailalagay ko sila, napapasok ko sila sa mga factory and all that para they also have work even if they are not working with me. And would you believe, until now, if I need help, for example, I just need somebody for a week, I can easily call them and they will come to me. So, yung parang partnership, nandyan pa rin. Di ba? Kasi importante yun. I don't think as a working mom, you can really do so much in your career. Kasi I travel also a lot. I do a lot of training out of town. Kung ang bahay mo ay magulo, Diba? Kasi magiging mental baggage mo. The other one is the need for a very supportive spouse. If your husband or your spouse is not very supportive, then you will have a problem. I'm not showing I'm showing this picture not because my husband is doing the polishing the floor and all that. But when I talk about shared responsibility, meaning I always stress, and we agreed, I talk about it to my husband, that taking care of the kids and the house is not just my role, but also his role. If we talk about headship, head of the family, is they have to do their work, they have to do their share. And so, kasi I have boys and I'm working, and his work is more, he's a businessman, so he's an entrepreneur. So whenever the school needs like PTA meetings, etc., mga parents ka lang pumunta doon, it's my husband who goes to the school. So, kasi sabi ko sa kanya, hindi lang dapat ako ang kilala ng teacher, kundi kailangan ikaw din. Di ba? Kailan yung presence ng tatay na doon. Especially dahil nga, boys yung mga anak ko, hindi naman babae, puro boys. So, there's so much shared responsibility. So even bringing one of my son to school, kasi we had a son who had, we had a kind of crisis. So, siya yun. So, shared yun. Kung hindi ako pwede, siya yun. Kung hindi naman siya pwede, ako yun. Pero kailangan pinag-uusapan. I think the essence here is communication. Communication with my children, with my husband, and also communication with the kasambahay. So those are important ingredients to try to balance, because I'm telling you, there's no such thing as balance. You sacrifice a bit, but then it must be an informed choice. It must be an informed decision. When you do something in your career, you have to go out of town kasi you're conducting a training. Alam mo yung mga iiwanan mo, walang mental baggage. Diba? So, I have a technique. I don't know if you will laugh at me when you hear this story. But next slide. I don't. Next slide, please. In my house, I have a big makopa tree. Alam naman yung makopa, hindi ba? So when I go to office, balik mo dun sa makopa tree. When I go to the office, okay, ganito ako. I leave problems of work behind. I don't bring it inside my house. So what do I do? Before I park the car, I close my eyes and I pick out the problems that I have now in my office na hindi ko na solve, or pressure or stress. And literally, I visualize of hanging that problem in my tree, in my makopa tree. So it may be 3 problems around. So the visualization of putting it out, and when I open the gate and I open my door, it lightens my feeling. So so wala akong dala. I mean, I ask my family, they don't know if I encounter problems in my work because I don't bring it inside my house. I leave it there. Yung makopa tree ko, buti na lang hanggang ngayon, may bunga pa rin. Hindi siya namatay, di ba? So dami siguro ng problema na ilagay ko doon. However, when I leave the house, I open the gate and I leave the house and I drive my car. Before I open the gate and drive away, I pick up those problems. Ang feeling ko, pag kinuha ko siya, yung parang literally pin-pick up ko siya, minsan hindi na siya problema. Parang very light na. I don't know, it works well for me. I don't know, if you want to follow that, for me, it's a good, even my office, my team would always say, I seem not to have any problem. I don't look stressed when in the answer. In other words, I also don't bring my home problem to my office. Talagang separate siya. Diba? Talagang separate. And whenever we have, kung talagang grabe yan, and I talk only to my husband. Kasi I like to share things with him. Pero hindi siya para maapektuhan yung aking household. Okay? As a matter of fact, one of the things I like to also share is, sabi ng anak ko sa akin, Ma, one of the things I noticed, napansin daw niya, hindi daw kami habang lumalaki daw sila, hindi daw niya nakita nag-away kami ng asawa ko. Sabi ko nag-aaway kami, pero hindi kami nag-aaway sa harap ng mga bata. We always talk about it outside. I mean, sa room namin or sa labas, but not because we don't want the kids to feel that they are part of the problem. When in fact, it might be a problem between me and my husband. So, yung mga ganun yun. Pero yung pinag-uusapan. So, yung mga kapatri, salamat naman sa Diyos. Hanggang ngayon, bumubunga pa siya. Sa kadamihan ng problema, siguro nalagay ko dyan. But sabi ko nga, paglabas ko ng bahay, and when I pick them up, it's so light anymore. And I go to the office, very light. I mean, sabi nga nila, how come I don't look stressed? I have so many work. Okay, so all of this, there's a fundamental, behind how we are affected in our being as a working mom. So next slide, I like just to share with you the difference between sex and gender, di ba? Because this affects us as a working mom. So sabi natin, sex is universal, biological, di ba? May penis and may vagina. And do not change. Although now, you can go for operation. But generally, it's universal. Compared to what is a gender. Ang gender naman, next slide is, it is acquired. Diba? It's not naturally, we're not born with being masculine and feminine. We are born as male and female, but we are not born as masculine and feminine. So it is learned. Diba? Hindi siya, kinreate siya ng society. Next slide. So gender is generally, it is socially and culturally ascribed. Slide, click mo. Yes. Di ba? Babae kailangan pink, maglaro ka ng mga t-set, mga dolls, lalaki kailangan baril. Pero pag panganak sa atin, at tayo man lang nagsabi, ay kailangan pink ang kanyang diaper, o kaya blue ang kanyang damit. Hindi siya, di ba? Ang atin lang is male-female. So that's sex. Pero gender, it is socially and culturally ascribed and assigned by society. Next slide. So in other words, these are the different factors in society that affects us, that says, wag kang umiyak. Di ba? Kasi pag umiyak ka, kung lalaki umiyak, magiging bakla ka. Ganon. Di ba? Iyakin ka. So, family yan, o kaya sa school, or media, workplace, society. So, sila yan. In other words, because it is done by this different mechanism, we can change it. Kasi we're not born with it eh. Di ba? We can change it. Kasi tayo lang naman tayo. People compose society. So, we can change the gender socialization. Okay? So, because of that, next slide, we are so much affected with our reproductive role. Kasi nga babae tayo dahil tayo may vagina, so tayo lang din ang pwedeng manganak. So dahil tayo ang nanganganak, tayo din ang mag-alaga ng bata, tayo din mag-alaga ng caring. So in other words, na-ascribe sa atin yung caring. Kasi nga tayo nanganak. Diba? So when they ascribe the caring, pati na yung sabab ng bahay. Diba? Na ikaw maglinis, ikaw magluto, ikaw lahat. Babaeng trabaho yan. Ang lalaki naman, next slide, is sila yung bread earner, di ba? Sila yung magtatrabaho. Kaya yung role natin, tayo ang reproductive role, ang lalaki ay productive role. Okay? However, hindi naman ngayon ganyan, di ba? Tayo ay, sabi mo niyo, working mom. Na siya, di ba? Nag-mix na. Hindi lang tayo iwan sa bahay, kundi tayo ay nag-work din, nandun na din tayo sa productive role. However, dahil nandun tayo sa productive role, meron pa rin tayo, na-affect rin pa rin tayo nung tingin ng mga tao in terms of our gender role. Diba? So, we will go now to the Mentimeter. Can we look at the next slide? What are the different gender biases that you feel, that you have encountered, that you know of? Can you put it in the Mentimeter?
So, yeah.
I think here,
we're pasting the link in Menti in the chat box. For people who want to participate in Mentimeter, you can just click that link in the chat box. Yung mga sample, bigyan mo na
So what type
sample.
of gender bias?
Sample mo ng gender bias, mother, para mabilis nilang ma-incorporate.
Kaya, domestic violence. Diba? Okay, men are better leaders, correct. Diba tingin nila kasi nga sila yung decision maker. What else?
Yan.
A stereotype tayo, di ba? Babae ka lang. Tama, doon ka lang sa household. Di ba? Household chores. And nakikita nyo, women are emotional. Yes. Kasi nga tayo umiiyak. Women should stay at home and do the chores. Yes. Men are stronger than women. Correct. Women are supposed to be in charge of household even if they are working. Ay, nako. Sabi mo ba yan? Discrimination, yes. Against pregnant kasi nga, hindi ka i-hire dahil maglilive ka na matagal, di ba? Mag-aalaga ka. Kaya papadalhin man natin sa training itong pregnant woman ito, di ba? Dahil, kaya kami sa scholarship, we don't discriminate. Kahit pregnant ka, wow, you can go to Australia to study. There are more men in higher government position. Of course, yes, di ba? There is only 2 cabinet members na babae. Subordination, yes. Men cannot do the household chores. Men are dominant gender kasi nga sila yung, pero kung tayo pinalaki at ginow up tayo na maging mag-exercise, you know, all the masculine, kasi ano na rin natin lalaki, strong. Working women should still be under the leadership of men, yes. Hi, okay. Thank you, multiple burden, yes. Yeah, Jeremy, how are you? I hope, you know, Jeremy is also my scholar. Unequal pay, yes. Yes, these are really, thank you for this. Thank you for what you've written. Can we stop the Mentimeter and go to the next slide? So one of the very prevalent gender bias is really stereotyping. Di ba? Babae, ang laro mo mga dal, di ba ganon? So yung mga lalaki, yung mga engineers, yung mga babae sa mga soft skills. O kaya ang lalaki naman, ang bata naglaro ng dal, sasabihin, ay naku, magiging bakla ka. Diba? Kung babae naglalaro ng mga laro ang panglalaki, magiging tomboy ka. So, meron gender stereotype. Parang sinabi niyo kanina, dahil pregnant ka, ay hindi ka papasukin, di ba? Or hindi ka isama sa training. Kasi ay, manganak naman siya, bakit pa natin siya i-train? Or emotional yung babae. So, na-stereotype tayo and it affects us in our career. Okay? The other gender bias is what we call marginalization. Next slide. Meaning, yung sinabi nyo kanina, di ba? Housewife. Kaya ako minsan, I always tell na sometimes I talk to the friends of my kids and I ask them, oh, so how's your mom? Blah, blah, blah. Then sasabihin ko, so, what's your mom doing now? Tapos sasabihin ng barkada ng anak ko, ay, tita, housewife lang yung mom ko. But medyo naiinis ako pag narinig ko yung housewife lang, yung word na lang. When in fact, being a housewife, wala nga siyang monetary term, no? Pero, my God, the burden, you know, we do everything. Taking care, cooking, cleaning, everything. And at the same time, if you go to the rural area, they're also in the farm. Diba? They're also, so in other words, women are marginalized. Because nga, ang tingin sa atin ay babae, doon ka sa household. When in fact, kung ano mo yung ating, lagyan nila ng pera, yung, you know, yung ang tawag yan, sa trabaho natin, di ba? Nagluto, naglaba and all that. May equivalent yan, malaki ang ating contribution to the economy, di ba? Wala, kasi nga kailangan natin yung, like sabi mga ni Hazel, monetary equivalent. I remember one time my son was shouting to my maid. So, at yung maid ko nung, matagal na siya sa akin. So what I did was, I went to the room of my son. I told him, you know, Chris, I told you already that, you know, they're already family. They've been with us for a long time. Yung makasambahay natin. They should be treated well. Sabi ko, simple lang sa ako, antiyan eh. Pag umalis yung ating mga helpers, in other words, ang nanay mo, ang magtatrabaho sa bahay. Di ba? Gagawin ko yung ginagawa nila. So pag ginagawa ko yung ginagawa nila, ibig sabihin, hindi na ako pwede magtrabaho. So pag hindi ako magtrabaho, wala akong pera. So pag wala akong pera, wala akong mabibigay sa inyo, makakapag-share. O bilang natahimik ng anak ko, kasi binigyan niya ng peso value, yung mga work. Diba? So kailangan talaga allies mo sila eh. You just have to communicate to them. Okay. The next slide, please. The other one is, bakit kailangan, I don't know, I always get irritated when I see the calendars of the, itong mga katulad yan, whiskey, White Castle. Bakit kailangan ba, para makabenta ka ng White Castle, kailangan yung babae, nakaganyan, nakabikini. Diba? So, women, one of our, is we are considered object. Diba? Objectification. You can see that in a lot of advertisement that women are treated as objects. So that's another gender bias. Diba? Parang how can they see us as competent decision maker leaders when they look at us as, ay, ano ito? Sexy, pampaganda. Diba? Next slide. The other one is, of course, the gender-based violence. So like sexual harassment, domestic violence. We get affected, di ba? Sometimes you hear yung kaso ni Desera, di ba? We all know that. Ano yung mga comments na kikita, narinig natin sa Facebook? Ay, kababaeng tao niya, lahat ang kasama niya, lalaki kasi. O, kasalanan pa niya ngayon yun. O kaya, parang may na-rape, sasabihin, kasi naka-short siya. So in other words, kasalanan natin. When in fact, violence is a power game. It's a power over us, over women. Kaya, or by the way, may mga babae din that are instigator or are also assaulting male. Hindi lang, it's not just the purview of male. Although mas marami tayong nakikita na ang lalaki ang culprit, ang babae ang victim. Pero marami rin, may mga lalaki din na victim. Okay? So, we should, hindi siya pang lalaki, may mga but it's really the gender-based violence that we show. Meaning, it's looking at power. Violence is about power. May power over. When in fact, if we want equality, it is always important to bear in mind, it is power with male and female, man and woman, power with. Hindi nakakaangat, hindi nakakababa. Okay, next slide. The other one is of course subordination. Diba? Yung tingin natin ay mas mababa yung babae kasi nga household, wala siyang pinag-aralan, etc. Kaya minsan natatawa ko, I think binigay ko example na. Bakit minsan tawag sa babae ay kusinera? Tapos sa lalaki, pag siya nagluluto, chef. Diba? Parang na naman sila nagluluto, pero kusinera ang tawag natin. So may mga ganon yung, even the terms that we use, subordinates women para mas nakakaangat yung lalaki. Na dapat sana, hindi naman. Kaya we have to be careful with the words that we use because word creates world. Again, word creates world. Okay? The words that you use creates that mental model, creates that mental image. So let's be careful with the words, the language. Kaya nga meron tinatawag na gender-sensitive languages. Okay? The next one is, another is multiple burden. I think somebody also wrote there, double burden. Yes. Kasi nga, I remember some of my friends would say, ako, Milalin, ako, gender sensitive ako. Ay, really? Bakit? Paano nasabi yun? Aba, yung sweldo ko, binibigay ko sa asawa ko. Talaga? Tapos, sa tinatanong ko ulit, tinanong mo ba sa asawa mo kung ang sweldo mo ay kasya para sa kabuhayan ninyo? Kasi kung hindi kasya yan, naging burden yan sa kababaihan. Dahil siya ang naghahanap ng paraan para mapantayan. Diba? So in other words, other than the financial, the work and all that, because we are also even working here. Pumunta ako ng Ilocos, for example, nakita ko itong mga weavers. Diba? Nag-weave sila pero nag-aalaga din ng bata. Yung mga ganun. So talagang it's not just double burden, it's really multiple burden because sometimes I did some community work I've seen some of the NGOs training the male farmers, and I always ask, bakit ang tinitrain lang nyo yung male farmers? Yung kababaihan, yung mga kababaihan dyan, nagpa-farming din. Di ba? Pasasabihin sa akin ng mga nagtatrain, kasi Milalin, nag-aalaga pa sila ng bata, so hindi sila maka-attend ng ano. Bakit? Pwede naman lang dalhin yung bata habang nasa training sila, di ba? Pwede ka maglagay ng space doon na pwede maglaro yung mga bata. So in other words, do not discriminate. Just because tayo ng anak, tayo nag-alaga, hindi din tayo pwede. Parang an example, kanina yung pregnant woman, di ba? Next slide is, so the other one is really the gender and racial discrimination. Very evident yan. I mean, it's still happening, even if we have so many laws about gender, pero in terms of implementation and practice, meron talagang discrimination. So we just have to be really careful. Ako, I am a victim of both gender and racial discrimination. Kasi maliit ako, di ba? Petite, payat, Pinay. So when I applied for this work, let me tell you, just like any foreign assistance projects, yung mga donors, syempre they prefer their, di ba? Kunyari, Australian, Japanese. Depende anong donor, di ba? But there was a time in my team, yung Australian team leader namin, so na siya, bumalik siya ng Australia, so inopen niya yung position niya, yung facility director. So I said, I will apply, di ba? Bakit hindi? Kaya naman ng Pinay ang ang trabaho, HROD, linya ko din yan, di ba? So anyway, I applied, 47 yata nag-apply. So they shortlisted 4 of us, 3 male and 1, ako lang female. So they shortlisted 2 Australians and 1 Canadian, and ako Pinay. And lo and behold, I thought my boss, my Australian, we work in a private company. I thought he will support me. Did you know that he did not support me? He said to me, Milalin, you're not gonna make it because 1, you're not Australian. And 2, parang you don't know how it is to be a director, di ba? A team leader. Parang ako naman, parang gano'n. Parang mas lalong na yung aking pakita ko nga na kaya natin to. Kaya to ng Pinay. Kaya ko ito. Di ba? So during the interview, the panel, there was a panel of interviews, I think around 7 of them. They're all Australians and there was 1 Filipino. Anyway, among the 4, so ako yung napili. Di ba? So, masama na naman loob nung dati kong boss na Australiano na bakit ako napili. Kasi nakasabi lang niya sa akin na hindi ako pwede makuha kasi Pinay ako, etc. So, yun, I felt, I mean, until now, I still feel that sometimes, working with foreign groups dahil tingin nga nila. So, there was a time I attended this conference of all the team leaders. Would you believe they're all males, big males, Australians, and ako lang yung babae in a conference. Diba? So, pinakita ko, di ba? Hindi nagpatalo. Di ba? Ang Pinay, hindi nagpapatalo. Pinagandaan ko yung aking slide. Pinagandaan ko yung aking mga presentation. Tapos pagkatapos ko, sabi ng isang Australiano, wow, it's a hard act to follow. Parang, kung pakita din sa kanila na, well, to be competitive talaga ako. Pinakita ko sa kanila na, huwag niyong mamalitin. Di ba? Na Pinay, kaya natin to. Di ba? Kaya natin pantayan. Okay? So in other words, next slide, I was able to break the glass ceiling. Kasi even after that, all the team leaders are still males and Australian. Although ngayon, if I look at the other countries where we have, the scholarship and all that, meron na ngayon mga babae din. I think mga around 3 or 4 women who are team leaders. Pero to be honest, ako pa lang din ang Pinay. All countries have the team leaders or program director, they're all Australians. Ako pa lang ang Pinay at saka ako lang ang babae na Filipina. So, nakakatuwa kasi naitaas natin yung bandera ng competent tayo. Di ba? Competent ang Filipina. Okay? So, I was able to break that glass ceiling. But I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's so hard. Ang dami kong sacrifices, ang dami kong ginawa. So, what did I do? There's so many things I did, but I like you, I'd like you to share. We'll break you into groups for you to share. Next slide. How do you empower yourself, or what do you do? What do you do to empower yourself? I like also to hear from you. I've shared my things. I'll be sharing others. But kayo, I'm sure you have also done. You have also experienced some of the stereotyping, discrimination. You have experienced other things in your workplace. Pero kayo, let's hear from you. We'll break it into small group for 7 minutes, and I want you to share, and then later you will share as a group. So please select your own, manage your own, facilitate your own discussion, and you have 7 minutes.
Ayan. Mother, nandito pala si Ena. Nakita ko si Ena dun sa room.
Okay, that's good. That's nice.
And kaya there are some rooms that walang kasama yung iba.
I'm viewing them right now. Yung mga walang kasama.
Thank you, Nikki.
So ito mga naiwan dito, they have not joined.
They have not joined. Or they're probably just in listening mode. Kasi di ba, I asked them that if you participate, you can just put like an X in your name para you will be in the listening mode.
Okay. So, lahat ba nasa group na? For those naman who are here in the plenary room, you can in the chat box, what do you do to empower yourself? Para we can share it here in the bigger group. Or you can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself or, put in the chat box.
Some of them daw are working, kaya yung
okay.
So
but if they can write in their chat box.
Oh, Naira is also here. Talagang yung hakot mo
Very supportive in team ka.
Oo. Breakout rooms will close in 5 minutes. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. 1 second. Ayan. Ayan. Yan. Naka-close na yung breakout rooms, Mother.
Okay, they're all back.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can we have some sharing? Anybody who would like to unmute and just share?
For those who want to unmute and share, you can raise your hand. Tapos I'm going to click the unmute or ask unmute button. Feel free to share what you were able to talk about in your breakout rooms.
Meron ba nag-raise ang hand?
Sabi ni Hazel, ang bilis daw. Hazel, baka gusto mo mag-share ng response mo in the plenary para para you can share the knowledge here. Ayan, si Imelda. I'll ask
Get
Imelda.
Imelda, yeah.
Ayan. Hi, Imelda.
Yes, hello. Naririnig niyo po ako?
Yes, yes, go.
Okay. Well, to empower myself, I look for my weaknesses and my strength. And from there I'm going to work on how to empower myself. Like for example, weakness ko, mainipin ako na nanay. Kasi sa dami ng nakaka-stress po ngayon kasi po work from home. Kumbaga yung yung linya po ng working home and working at the office, napaka-thin yung line.
Yes, correct.
So minsan at tulad dito, nasa webinar ako, tapos nagpapatrabaho ako ng bahay, tapos ako pa yung tatawagin. So minsan yung oras mo na but you must know how to balance yourself about, especially on making decision. Kasi po, my husband is working po sa planta, siya yung wala, ako naman working at home. So double time po ang gawain ko sa bahay. Working office na nasa bahay at working as a mother to my children sa bahay.
Yes.
So yung strength ko po na masishare ko naman na na-empower ko, mother So may authority pa rin ako magalit. Ay, gawin niyo to. Hindi ko to kaya. Gawin niyo yan. Na-empower ko. Kasi ganun po, kung hindi ko po gagawin yun, ako ho lahat ang aako ng trabaho.
Correct, correct.
Strength mo as a mother, impose mo para sa ganun. Otherwise, magsasuffer ka rin physically, tsaka mentally. Kasi with the pandemic, the mobilization is so curve, konti lang. Not unlike before na madali ka. Hindi naman po ako marunong mag-online. Isa pa ho yun na weakness ko.
So, na-delegate mo ngayon. So, it's important to train your kids also. Tama
Yes,
yun.
po.
Delegate. Thank you, Imelda.
Thank you po.
Sige, sino pa ang gusto
Kasi
mo?
meron pa, may dalawa tayo. Si Jocelyn, tsaka si Baby Doble. So si Jocelyn, yan, i-ask to unmute ko. Hi, Jocelyn.
Sige.
Hi, Sir John. Hi,
Hello.
Ma'am Milalin.
Hi,
From the
Jocelyn.
CESB. Opo.
Yes, go.
Opo. Good afternoon po. Ang bilis talaga nung session kasi dalawa lang kami ni Ma'am Hazel. Magka-group kaming dalawa. Isa pa lang yung nasabi niya, isa yung nasabi, tapos na. Ang bilis na. Anyway, she said, according to Ma'am Hazel, ang sa kanya to empower herself is to have this training, more trainings, yan, more webinar. Siyempre, yun yung pinaka-importante sa atin kasi we are working. Also with me, pareho lang naman to because we always remember, laging sinasabi ni RD Daisy, learn, and never stop learning. Kaya, we keep on reading, katulad ngayon, quite busy kasi sinuwerte na makapasok sa scholarship. So, ngayon, basa ng basa ngayon kasi nag-advanced readings because it is new to me, so I have to read a lot. So, to empower, yan, plus a little walking, I make sure na nakaka-walk ako kasi when I was in Masbate, there, I really walk a lot. Kasi parang during walking kasi, that's the time I could talk to the Lord, yung me time ba, kasi naglalakad ko. So hindi ko inaalis yan. I find time kahit 15 minutes lang yan na naka-work from home ako ngayon. I still go out by myself and walk. Kahit konti lang, kahit sandali lang. Kasi nga ayaw kong alisin yung me time na yan na kahit 15 minutes na lang. Dati kasi yung me time, di ba, yung parlor, shopping, wala nga yung lahat yun kasi tayo makalabas. So me time ko ngayon is maglakad lang and then conversations with God. I did a lot of that, especially when I was assigned sa Islang Probinsya ng Masbate. Kasi maraming kahabaang oras ng travel. So yun po, I always make it a point to have these conversations with God.
Yeah. Thank you, Jocelyn. Really good na. Self-care is important. Always don't forget that. Kasi tao lang tayo and we really need self-care also. Can we have the last one?
Yeah, we have Baby Doble.
Okay, baby.
Hi, I'm Baby Doble. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
baby. Yes.
Hi. They say that education and knowledge is the new currency. So I attend a lot of webinars. In fact, we host a lot of webinars. And I follow some great speakers, like how to be a good speaker. I follow Roger Love. I follow Addicted to Success by Joel Brown. And really, it has made me, I have become a better version of myself.
Okay. Thank you, baby. Thank you for that sharing. That's really important. That's good. And tamang-tama segue ko yung ano sharing baby, no? Can you go to the next slide, please? Just like a baby, when I was growing up, not growing up, when I did my first job, tinanong ako, what do I want to be? You know, so first job pa lang yun. So sabi ko, I want to be an international HROD consultant, which I am now. You know, so in other words, yung trajectory ko to that. Pero how did I empower myself? So just like baby, next slide please. I was reading a lot. You know, if you go to my house, I have a floor to ceiling bookshelves. Mahaba yung aking bookshelf na yan. But when I was working, ang liit ang sweldo ko. No? Siyempre, first job ko, ang liit ang sweldo ko. Pero I tried to save money so I can buy books kasi nga, I cannot afford to attend training. Diba? I cannot afford to go to US, attend training and all that. So maliit na yung sweldo ko. No? Tsaka the time I was working in government. But now kasi you can either borrow. So I try to borrow books. But definitely, reading helps a lot. You know, I agree with baby when she mentioned about, you know, the books that she's read, and it really makes you a better person. I read a lot of books that are related to my passion, which is HR and OD, and I also read fiction and non-fiction kasi that helps, diba? The other one, just to share how I empower myself kasi nga building competency. You know, when I was young, when I was not yet married, nakikita ba niyo kung saan ako dyan? You know, sabi ko, kailangan ako magbiyahe. Kailangan wala akong pera pang biyahe. Diba? I don't have money. I was working in the government, you know, first job. But I said, I want to travel. I want to, so I saw in the newspaper this application for SHIP for Southeast Asian Youth Program. So sabi ko, mag-apply na ako, di ba? Hindi ako yan. No. Guess where am I? Katabi nun. Yan ako. Mukha ba ako yan ngayon? So I applied to this. And, you know, for me kasi, applying to things like this, mga international group, ang intention was to hone my leadership skill, di ba? Kasi syempre, undergrad, I'm very shy person when I was in high school and in college. So parang kailangan ko mag-go out of myself, di ba? Kasi I want to be an international teacher or consultant. How can I be if I don't, you know, go out of my shell? So nag-apply ako. Then when I applied, I also vied to become a youth leader. Kasi each delegation, each country, we have all the ASEAN countries and Japan, we have 35 delegates. And that each delegate have to select their youth leader, male and female. So nag-raise ako ng kamay para botohin ako, di ba, na maging youth leader. So itong nakikita niyo sa picture nito, kami lahat yung youth leader ng Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, etc. etc. Tapos ako yung sa Pilipinas. Dalawa kami, isang male. So nag-apply ako, natanggap. I think there were like 1,000 of us who applied for this. And this program is still ongoing. Every year, there is still the SAYAP. They call it SAYAP. Okay? So yung gano'n, sabi ko, kailangan ko mahon. Kailangan ko, kasi gusto ko maging international HR, kailangan ko how to work with other countries, di ba? To network with them. Okay? The other one is, next slide, makatinim pa ako, di ba? Kasi nakaikot na ako ng ASEAN and Japan. So sabi ko, another way to, nag-apply na naman ako dito sa CESB. I don't know if you're familiar. This is Children International Summer Village. So anyway, I applied as an adult leader. Wala akong pera, di ba? But I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Europe without spending money. So I went to Europe to become an adult leader of 4 kids. Di ba? 4 kids. So, kita niyo yung 4 na bata dyan sa ilalim na picture. So for 1 month, 20 countries, iba-ibang countries. So we all went to a camp in Denmark for 1 month for kids. You know, so lahat ng delegation meron tayong adult leader. So ako yung adult leader ng Philippines. Tapos pagdating mo sa camp is kayo na yung leaders ng camp na yon. Come up with ideas every day to make sure that the kids learn a lot of meron kaming advocacy, environment, etc. And Philippines is always kasi the camp is I think in 20 countries every year yan. Sa Philippines kailangan din. So pagbalik ko after a year, they asked me if I can be a camp director in the Philippines. So, nag-camp director ako. So, nakikita niyo yung mga balloons. Yan yung aking staff. Lahat kami volunteer. Wala pang bayad. So, I take a leave. I take a leave from my office for 1 month so that I can be an adult leader or I can be a camp director. So, those are the things that I'm trying to balance. No? My work at home, my work in the office, and also my extracurricular where I will gain more skills. Diba? Kasi nga, clear yung aking focus. I want to be an international HROD consultant. Okay. Next slide. Then I also joined other civic organization. It's called Service. Kasi nga, hindi ba wala akong pera, pero gusto ko magbiyahe. At gusto ko makapag-meet ng iba-ibang nationality. So this is another one. And I was sent because I was voted to be the national coordinator. Service was created by the American Peace Corps. Marami silang mga Peace Corps sa iba-ibang countries. They created this. And nakita niyo yan, may voting kami during conferences. So, pinadala ako sa Guatemala kasi I was representing the Philippines. So again, I went to Guatemala, I went to other countries without spending much money. Kasi nga, naman ito, volunteer, di ba? Civic. Siyempre, hindi naman yung mga hotel yung tinitira namin. I think we stayed in Guatemala. In an old city, Antigua, ang ganda-ganda. And then we stayed in a convent. But this was in 2 weeks. So you meet a lot of people, you get to know them, you know how to react, you understand the culture. I think that's the most important thing. Then the other one is I like to say one other thing that I did was finding good mentors. And I'm sure some of you have that. You don't have to keep one mentor. You can have several mentors. But it's important to have your own mentor because you also need guidance, you also need advice. Okay? The other one that I work, talaga ako mabibo sa ganyan, I volunteer. Next slide. Doon sa trabaho ko, I volunteer a lot in committees. Doon man sa committees. Kasi nga, it is in slide before this. The committees. The slide before, yeah. Kasi it is in the committees that you will learn a lot. Diba? Learning by doing. Then, of course, like you, I also studied. I went to Australia to study. Kasi nga, may mga anak ako maliliit. Hindi naman ako pwedeng magkatulad nila ni Nikki at saka ni John na 1.5 years sa Australia, no? So I opted to do short courses. I studied in AIM for a short course, and in Australia, then I went also to Russia. Puro short courses. Pero lahat ng pinag-aralan ko short courses were building my competency towards the career path that I have envisioned for myself. Hindi ako naglihis doon. But isipin nyo, how can I do all of this when my kids are growing up? At kwento ka naman sa inyo, di ba? Shared responsibility kami ng husband ko. And then, I also talk to my kids. And so, maattract yung allowance ko, yung nag-aaral sa Australia, yung allowance ko naubos sa kakausap sa kanila. At that time, hindi pa ganun kauso yung internet. So, talagang telephone, yung long distance, talagang magasto yun. But those are the sacrifices. Diba? I was there not to earn money or to save, but really to learn. And, and I have to maintain my, contact with my family. Okay. Next slide. So all of this helped me where I am now. Diba? Yun yung career path ko. Sabi ko, gusto ko maging international. So if you look at this, where I am now, I used to be the program director of Philippine Australia Human Resource Development Facility. Sabi ko nga, diba, I napili ako among the 4 shortlisted, 2 Australian, 1 Pinoy, pero ako lang. So ever since dyan, ako lang yung Filipina, lahat Australians, ang team leader. Then, nag-bid ulit, Philippine-Australia Human Resource Organization Development Facility. Again, I was interviewed in Canberra and kalaban ko rin mga puti at puro lalaki. Diba? So, ganun lang yun. So, nanalo ulit kami, tapos ako yun. So, talagang yung ginawa ko noon, yung all the sacrifices, all the things that I did to empower myself, to build my competency, they all help, where I am now. As a matter, I give thanks to my mentors. I write them letters. I thank them where I am now because I'm grateful, for, their contribution. I'm sure they have contributed to where I am now. Kasi sabi, ang feeling ko nga, the more blessing I have, the more blessing I should also give out. Kaya ako din, I mentor a lot of people. Kasi those are my pay forward. Alam nga ni Jan, tsaka ni Nikki, ang dami kong mini-mentor. Kasi nga, gusto ko naman, di ba, para ika-unlad din ng mga, especially pag babae, di ba, talagang I'm really helpful. And then, the Australia Awards. So until now, I'm working with this company that manages this program. And as I've said, until now, since 2004 to present, ako lang ang Pilipina. Lahat ng team leaders ay Australian, kung hindi man Australian na lalaki, Australian na babae. And I'm always thankful for the Lord for giving me the opportunity for having a spouse that's so supportive and understanding, for having kids who are also supportive of my career, of having a household help, mga kasambahay, who very much supportive kasi I'm not a domesticated person. And the people that I work with, they bring joy and makes me believe in what I'm doing. So really all of this, my mentors and all that, lahat siya nag-contribute, di ba? And of course, the Lord. I always pray na to give me, and even may makopa tree, di ba yung kwento ko sa inyo yung makopa tree? Diyan pa rin siya, buhay pa rin. Diba? So, and then one of the things that I like to share with you is, next slide, do not forget to join professional association. Kasi this is part of your continuing education and at the same time your network. This is where I became the president of PSTB, the chair, at saka naging ngayon president ako ng ODPN. And they're not just learning, they are also you can have fun with them. And the network na private sector, government, NGOs, and all that. Next slide. So because of these professional groups, I was awarded, in PIMA, I was given the diplomate people manager. That's the highest on the accreditation nila. So diplomate ang tawag. Tapos sa PSTD naman, na-award ako, Gawad Maestro, Leader Extraordinaire. So, the funny part is I did not apply for that, but I was selected. I think those are Leader Extraordinaire, you don't apply, they select among, So I was happy that I was selected. And the other one that I'm also proud of is the next slide. Is I was awarded by as one of the 100 most influential women in 2016. So there's this group in America called FWN, Filipina Women Network. So they're a network of Filipina, and they look at influential Filipina in the world. So every year they select 100. So here, and I in my category, ang category ng award ko, builder. So I'm proud of that, but that is a tall order, meaning there's a lot of responsibility given to that. So we do a lot of mentoring. If you look at the lower part, we mentor young women in terms of their career, in terms of their life, etc. So that's one way that I can contribute of receiving such an award. And last but not least, in terms of award, I'd just like to share with you that in August, I was appointed by the president to be a board member of the CESO board, Career Executive Service Board. I did not apply. But one of the board members, Rolly Metin, he died lang last year, has been a board member time pa ni President Pinoy. he said to me, "Uy, Milalin, may vacancy na board. I'd like to recommend you to Malacanang." And I said, okay lang, gano'n, di ba? Parang sa akin naman, okay lang kung makuha, okay lang din kung hindi. I mean, I did not buy for it. You know? But anyway, how did I meet Rolly? Rolly used to be a DNR undersecretary when I was doing job at DNR. So he saw me there, the way I did, you know, the work in HR, kasi I was doing a lot of consulting work for them as advisor and all that. Siguro na-impress siya. Alam siguro niya kung anong ginagawa ko, etc. But networks that you have, you maintain that. I maintain my friendship with Rolly. I mean, kahit na matagal na wala na siya, din na sa USEC, naglipat na siya sa DBP and all that. Pero I maintain that friendship. So sometimes I get a call from him, kamusta lang, sometimes I call him up, yung mga ganun. Then, nagkaroon ka ng vacancy, then he thought of me. So he recommended me to Malacanang, to the, you know, Office of the President. And lo and behold, I was accepted. So I received a call and I received a letter saying that I have been appointed as a board member in 2019. For me, that's something I did not buy for, but something that for me, another thing that I am grateful for. Kasi yung advocacy ko in terms of leadership, because the pagseso ka, di ba, ito yung mga director and above. And this is where I think I can also do my own advocacy in terms of good governance. So, unti-unti lang yan, di ba? You cannot change the world overnight. But I see my work there. I'm sure that the Lord also put me there because I have a mission. And the mission, if I can help, you know, in terms of good governance, and unti-unti, you know, in terms of training, in terms of building awareness, particularly in HR. Because a lot of them are not aware that they have a big role in HR. You know, they always think, pag HR yan, trabaho yan ng mga HR people. But in fact, you as a manager, you as an executive, you are an HR person. So I like to put that in their mind. You know, the performance and success, the engagement of the people, your staff, are because of you as a leader. You know, so yun yung aking advocacy. So okay lang, natutuwa naman ako. So all of this, again, as I've said, all came from, you know, the Lord, and at the same time, hard work, and also the people that have helped me where I am. Okay, I'd like to share with you the study done by Joy Menjola. Walang pangalan niya. Joy Caleja. They did a study last year about CEO Filipino women, and because I'm part of that. A lot of the CEO women here are part of the 100 Filipina yung influential. So a lot of them are my co-awardees in the FWN. But look at this, which resonates with me, di ba? Look at the growing up in career advancement. Talagang one of the challenges is expectation as a mother. You know, having a career, moving, you know, your trajectory up. May expectation pa rin ng pamilya mo, may in-laws, may family, may mother and father, may anak. Ganun talaga yun, di ba? Hindi nawawala yun. Kasi nga, yun yung gender, gender reproductive role natin. Kahit nandun na tayo sa productive role, nandun pa rin tayo sa reproductive role. So, that balancing, there's no such thing for me. For others, there is. But there's a give and take. Really give and take yan. Pero dapat informed decision ka. Informed choices. Whatever you do, informed choice. And then, look at the challenges. Look at the enablers. You know, enlightened husband. Yes, so important. Because your husband has to share responsibility in your household. Hindi yan, dahil reproductive role, ikaw lang. Dapat yung asawa mo, spouse mo, kasama rin. And kung hindi man siya, ikaw yung i-advocate mo yun. You have to do that. I have to do that advocacy. Diba? Hindi naman sila na-enlighten agad na, mag-share ako ng household, diba? Kasi pinalaki rin sila na iba na hindi sila sa bahay. Pinalaki sila. So, ang asawa ko ganun din, diba? But I have to do my own advocacy. And the other enabler here, as you've noticed, would be the role of mentors. And also the role model that you have, either your mother, your lola, your aunt, and all that. So it's still good to have role models even as mentors. So this came from the study. But look at the challenges, di ba? Again, as a CEO, kasi itong mga interview, mga CEO sa private sector, limited pa rin talaga ang representation. Even in our government. Marami nga tayong babaeng director level. Pero bibilangin natin, ilan ba ang undersecretary? Ilan ba ang secretary level? Kukonti lang. Diba? Cabinet secretary. Kukonti lang ang babae. Yeah. And of course, there is still that discrimination. Kasi kung women leader ka, ay naku, uwi ng maaga. Ay, weak yan. Kasi katulad ako, there was a time I was working in the private sector. Sabi ng kasamahan, another VP told me, Milalin, you think like a man. Sabi ko, teka muna, na-insulto yata ako doon eh. Bakit mo sinabing, I think like a man? Sabi niya, kasi decisive ka eh, tsaka very strong, very firm. Sabi ko, teka muna, ang babae can be strong, firm, and decisive. Diba? Bakit mo ako sabihan, ni-label, I think like a man, because I am decisive, assertive, and, yung mga gano'n. Parang, so I have to change, diba, their mindset na socially ascribed yun eh. But, diba, yun yung stereotyping na, diba? And of course, you also have to be careful with your husband's ego. Diba? Kasi ano din yan, you also have to be sensitive. And I think even from the study, sabi nga ng mga CEO na Filipina, women leader, they also have to contend with that. I had to make sure. And I don't want, there's no such thing as nakakaangat ka na, tapos bumababa siya, diba? Equality nga eh. Diba? Power with, again, the word with is important. Hindi power over. There was a time I was getting higher salary than my husband. But, was I arrogant about it? Of course not. Diba? Did I broadcast it to my kids? Of course not. Diba? Because that's just part of pool of money that we have as a household. So I don't have to, to brag about it and all that. But, kasi nga, I'm sensitive din, diba? Hindi ko alam kung baka matamaan yung ego niya, etc. Pero my husband is such a stable person. But not all husbands are like that. So these are the things that you have to contend with when you also balance, when you traject in your career. So I hope, I just have 2 slides I'd just like to share with you. The things that you will, coming up with during this pandemic. It's important for you to recognize your role as work. When I say role, you should know when to unplug. We should know when to stop. Weekends, tapos na dapat yung work. Diba? Although ako, I have 2 of my staff here, they will laugh. Kasi I also work until midnight. But that's the way I am. Sabi ko nga, diba, pag tulog na yung mga tao, tulog yung asawa ko, then doon ako nag-work ulit. But I learned how to unplug. Do not be afraid to unplug. I unplug, meaning I don't open my laptop on Saturday and Sunday. I only open it after 9 p.m. on Sunday kasi ayoko matabunan ng email pag sa Monday. Yung mga ganon. So you just have your own rule. You unplug. At 5:30, kasi exercise na, I turn off my laptop. I don't even, I seldom open also my Facebook. Then create and stick to a daily routine. Kailangan yun. I think somebody like Jocelyn mentioned, yung kanyang walking around 15 minutes. Parang for yourself. Yung mga ganon. You create that. You create your daily routine. Kailan ka mag-open ng laptop? Ako ganon. 9 o'clock, parang office time sa nandito sa bahay kasi working from home ako since last year. Tapos hanggang 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Depende pag may meeting. Yung mga ganyan. Of course, exception din. Alam din ng staff yan that sometimes I meet some of them until 7. Like kagabi, nag-meeting kami hanggang 8 kasi nga very urgent. Yung mga ganon. Pero, kailangan babalansa lang. At the time, syempre late kami kumakain ng dinner. Yung kakain na kami. Sunod ko na yung team ko na may dinner time na namin. Kasi sa amin, meal time must be eaten together as a family. That's always. Always yan. Rule ko yan. Rule ang bahay namin yan. Okay, last slide. And of course, make time for yourself. I think a lot of you mentioned that. Self-care. It's important to do your own self-care, time for yourself. Just to take a break, exercise, read, just listen to the music, watch TV, diba? Or take a break, take a vacation if you're allowed, just to go out, go to a beach. I miss the beach. Go out to Tagaytay, yung mga ganun. Basta take a break. Importante lang. Like weekends. Weekends talagang no work except, okay, my professional work, that's where I use my weekend. Kasi I am also a member of the International Facilitators Association. I have my board meeting of ODPN on Saturday, mga ganyan. But then, I make sure that it's only 1 hour, maximum of 2 hours. And when you're at home, be present, consistent, and be accountable. At home or at work. You know. Pag kailangan ako kausapin ng anak ko, kahit na work time, I really, close it and listen to my son. Kasi nga work from home, di ba? Blurred na yun. Sabi nga ninyo, thin line na siya ngayon. Dahil dito din tayo sa bahay. Pero, at the end of the day, the family is more important. Di ba? So, if my son needs me, when my son calls me on the phone and I am here in my laptop, I either tell him, I'll call back. But if it's urgent, tell me. So if it's urgent, I say, excuse me, and I, call him back. Ganon. Kailangan sabi ko nga, informed decision yan, informed choice. It's your prioritization. What do you value in life? Okay? So, that's my sharing. I hope it helped you. That's the way I empowered myself where I am now. I am in our industry. It is called a CEO level because as a team leader, as I've said, I manage a big amount of money and at the same time manage a team. So I hope I was able to share and inspire you, some of you. And thank you very much for listening.
Ayan, thank you so much, Miss Milalin. And let's give her a round of applause, everyone, kahit na virtual lang na applause yung nakikita natin ngayon. Ayan, thank you so much. Alam niyo, I've always told people, and I'm so proud to say this, na it was Milalin who actually is one of the people who inspired me to take up the Australia Award Scholarship. She was silang sabay-sabay nila Adrian tsaka nila LV yung nagsabi sa akin na why don't you give it a shot? Kasi anyway, kung kuha ka, edi okay, kung hindi, edi hindi. And I totally agree with you, Mother, dun sa sinabi mo na when you are investing on your knowledge, you are investing so much in yourself. Kasi di ba one of the power bases that we know of is expert power. And sabi mo nga, di ba, power yan lahat eh. Power dynamics lahat yan. So, so if you want to increase your power base, expertise definitely is one of the most important things that you can use as a pathway para ma-achieve mo kung ano yung gusto mong i-aim for yourself. Yeah. So, yes, kung meron po kayong mga questions, siguro we can take 1 or 2 questions from people in the crowd. You can say it in the chat box. But while I'm waiting for your questions and while you're receiving the things in the chat box, just a few reminders for positive workplaces. So this is a 3-part session. So the first part is, of course, with our dear Milalin Javellana. The second one is my previous bosses in SGS. So Michelle Garcia and Rosario Hocom Bradbury. And kasama to ni Mother Milalin sa Filipina CEOs na the third, of course, is our Work from Home Moms Developmental Psychology Perspective by Dr. Lian Peña Alumni. Ayan. And of course, ito, advertise ko na ang Australia Award Scholarship and of course the Positive Young Leader Summit. If you want to attend, like just to get some of the very positive, some of the stories of positive leadership that we've been gathering recently, you can attend this summit on May 29. Wala pong libre po ito at nandyan po ang mga babies ni Mother Milalin. So ito pong tatlo na nakikita niyo po ay judges ng Positive Young Leaders of the Philippines, si Jose de Colomon, si Hanifa from Mindanao, si Bea Almoyed at si Adrian Robles are all Australia Award scholars, and there are 6 more judges. Hindi pa lang naghagawa yung advertisement. So I hope we can also see you there. And syempre, meron tayong strengths-based leadership course on June 8, 15, 22, and 29. And you can email us if you want to register also in this course by Coach May Soriano and Coach Lippy. All right. So since we didn't get any questions naman at we are now at 4:30, Mother, we're now pasting the post-evaluation link in the box. Okay, para po dun sa mga maghihintay. 30 minutes lang po ang buhay niyan ha. So para alam niyo po. Nagtatanong po si Miss Imelda, how po Miss Imelda, you can just email us at learn@positiveworkplaces tapos we can reply to you dun sa steps kung paano mag-register dun sa strengths-based course, or you can register also in the chat box where Nikki pasted the link for strengths-based leadership course. Ayan. Kaya Mother Milalin, maraming salamat po. Nikki and I, your forever babies, are so grateful to have you with us today. And tutuloy-tuloy pa po natin itong ginagawa natin ngayon to help more people be able to take care of their well-being. Regardless kung mothers man sila, young leaders man sila,
Yes.
they will have access to these well-being trainings every month, 3 episodes in a series. So maraming salamat. Okay.
Thank you also. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Take care.
Thank
You know, working mom, the best.
Working moms, yes. Maraming salamat. Bye-bye everyone.
Kayang-kaya natin.
Yes. Meron dito message na unmute everyone. Wait lang. Bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Take care of thank you. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Thank you yung mga scholars na nandito. Anna, at si Naira.
Sino nakita mong scholars?
Si Jerefe, nandito.
Ay, oo nga.
Oh, si Imelda po. Tsaka si
Imelda.
si Brian.
Ayan. Oh, kilala talaga. Oh. Memorize ba?
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Wala tayong picture.
Oo nga. Pwede
Ay, oo nga, no, picture.
Wait lang. Isatap ko yung share.
Nakalimutan natin.
Doon sa mga pwede pang mag-picture, pwede po tayong gallery view natin. Yan.
Almost forgot.
Kasi mga nag-ayos na lang din naman tayo, di ba? Tama.
Ako nag-ayos.
Grabe, Ena, sobrang mukhang bata ka. My God! You look like my sister.
Sino? Si?
Ena, tingnan mo. Nakita mo ba yun?
Sorry.
Ayan, okay. Ready? Nikki,
Ay, picture tayo.
Yes, I will take it. So first screen, there are 3 screens. Smile. 1, 2, 3. There's more. Smiling. 1, 2, 3.
Oy, sige yan.
One more. 1, 2, 3. Yay!
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Dito ka na naman sagot.
Don't forget the survey.
Yes, don't forget the survey in the link. Yes. Thank you so much. See you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah, God bless.
God bless.
Email.